What does it mean to be middle class in the 21st century? A simple question, yet one that stirs a cauldron of complexities, particularly for Generation Z. It's a question that challenges the traditional concept of middle class, a term so deeply ingrained in our societal fabric, yet one that's evolving right before our eyes. Think about it. The middle class, once defined by the stability of a steady paycheck and the comfort of a suburban home, is now being redefined. It's no longer just about income. It's about the cost of living, the ability to save, and the freedom to dream. It's about facing the hiked-up prices of education, healthcare, housing, and more. But why does this matter? Why should we care about how the middle class is defined or what the implications might be? Because the middle class is not just an economic bracket, it's a societal backbone. It's a reflection of our nation's health, a barometer of our collective prosperity. And this brings us to a generation at the heart of this discussion, a generation that's redefining the rules and reshaping the world, Generation Z. They're the first digital natives, the ones who've grown up amidst the whirlwind of technological advancements and global shifts. They're the ones who are now questioning, challenging, and rewriting the definition of middle class. So let's ask the big question: does a $74,000 annual income still constitute a middle class lifestyle? Is it enough to secure a comfortable life, or is it just a ticket to an endless cycle of bills and debts? Is it enough to dream and aspire, or is it just enough to survive? Let's delve deeper and hear from Gen Z themselves. The middle class, a social and economic cornerstone, but what does it look like today? Historically, the middle class was seen as a comfortable group, economically speaking. They were not rich, but they also didn't worry about putting food on the table. They were able to afford a home, a car, perhaps even a yearly vacation. This was the dream, the goal, the aspiration for many. Fast forward to today, and the picture is a bit different. The cost of living has risen, and with it, the perception of what it means to be middle class. It's not just about the money anymore. It's about the lifestyle, the ability to afford certain luxuries, and the freedom to make choices without financial constraints. Now let's hear from some of the most vibrant voices of our time, the Gen Z. What does middle class mean to them? To Josh, a 25-year-old software developer, middle class means earning enough to live comfortably, save for the future, and have a bit left over for fun. That's definitely more than $74,000 a year. Sophia, a 22-year-old graduate student, shares a similar sentiment. The cost of education, housing, and healthcare are all higher than ever. A middle-class income needs to reflect that. These perceptions are not isolated. They represent a growing trend among the younger generations who see the cost of living, the importance of financial security, and the desire for a certain lifestyle as integral to the definition of middle class. And it's not just about the money, it's about the ability to live without constant worry, to plan for the future, to have access to opportunities, and to enjoy life's pleasures without breaking the bank. As we see, the perception of middle class is changing, especially among our younger generations. Let's hear from Gen Z, the generation carving their own path in this changing economic landscape. First up, we have a budding entrepreneur, Maya. She believes that a $74,000 annual income is no longer sufficient to maintain a middle-class lifestyle in most cities. Maya's perspective is shaped by the rising costs of living. As she mentions, with the escalating prices of housing, healthcare, and education, that income level seems more like survival than comfort. Then we have Ethan, a recent college graduate who shares a similar sentiment. Ethan's view stems from his experience with student debt, a common burden for many Gen Z individuals. He says, when you factor in student loans and the cost of living, $74,000 doesn't stretch as far as you think. We also hear from Ava, a young professional in the tech industry. Ava feels that the traditional understanding of middle class doesn't hold up in today's digital economy. In her words, in a world where tech skills are highly valued, the income benchmark for middle class should reflect the earning potential in this sector. $74,000 seems a bit low. Lastly, we have Kai, a climate activist. Kai's perspective is rooted in the need for sustainable living, which can often come at a higher cost. He states, to live sustainably and ethically, we sometimes need to pay more for products and services. This makes a $74,000 income seem inadequate. Across these conversations, a recurring theme is that Gen Z perceives a $74,000 annual income as less than middle class due to rising costs, student debt, the digital economy, and sustainability considerations. Clearly, Gen Z's outlook on middle-class income differs significantly from previous generations. What factors are driving Gen Z's redefinition of middle-class income? Now, that's a question worth pondering. Firstly, let's consider the rising cost of living. Everything from a loaf of bread to a roof over our heads costs significantly more than it did a few decades ago. The inflation rate has been on an upward climb, and wages haven't quite kept up. This price-wage gap is forcing Gen Z to aim for higher salaries just to maintain a similar lifestyle to what their parents had. Next up, we have education. The cost of getting a degree has skyrocketed, and it's no secret that Gen Z values education. They're more likely to pursue higher education than any previous generation. But with the cost of tuition, books, and living expenses, the debt starts piling up. So, a higher income isn't just a luxury for them, it's a necessity to pay off their student loans. Then, we have societal expectations that play a significant role too. Social media has a way of magnifying wealth and success, making it seem like everyone else is living a more luxurious life. It's a pressure cooker environment, and Gen Z is feeling the heat. The desire to keep up, to not feel left behind, is driving them to redefine what they consider middle class. We've spoken to a few Gen Z individuals, and their insights echo these points. They speak of the struggle to find affordable housing, the burden of student loans, and the societal pressure to have it all. Their stories, their experiences lend credence to these findings. So the shift we're seeing in Gen Z's perception of middle-class income isn't born out of greed or entitlement. It's a response to the changing world around them. They're simply trying to navigate their way through the economic and societal challenges that they've inherited. The changing economic and social factors are clearly influencing Gen Z's perception of middle class. This isn't just a generation being demanding, it's a generation adapting to the realities of their time. So is $74,000 per year still considered a middle-class income? We've navigated through some intriguing thoughts, perspectives, and statistics in our quest for the answer. We've listened to the voices of Gen Z, who, with their unique viewpoint, have thrown a spotlight on the shifting terrain of the economic landscape. They've nudged us to question traditional paradigms and to acknowledge that the cost of living, the value of a dollar, and the definition of comfort have all undergone significant change. We've also grappled with the concept of the middle-class paradigm. That once solid foundation seems to be shifting beneath our feet as we grapple with new economic realities. It's no longer just about how much you earn, but how much of that income is consumed by the necessities of life. How much is left for the luxuries, and how much can be set aside for the unexpected. This shift in perception isn't just an intriguing social phenomenon, it has tangible implications for our society and economy. If a larger percentage of the population feels that they're not part of the middle class, this could potentially affect consumer behavior, political views, and even the social fabric of our communities. The middle class has long been viewed as the backbone of the economy, and a shift in this perception may lead to a re-evaluation of economic policies and strategies. So, what's the takeaway here? The concept of the middle class isn't frozen in time, it's fluid, evolving with the ebb and flow of societal and economic changes. It's a reminder that we must stay attuned to these shifts, adapting our mindsets and strategies to ensure that our understanding of the middle class remains relevant and meaningful. As we move forward, it is clear that the definition of middle class is evolving, and it is our responsibility to understand and adapt to these changes.